That's really hard to come on a show where
in.
everybody's up to speed. It's like when I did Friends. It was, they were up to speed.
There's a lot wrong here with this. This is a man who saw what happens when someone is out of control with their guns.
Yeah.
Guess who's making headlines again? None other than the legendary Whoopi Goldberg. But this time, it seems like the spotlight is on her due to some revelations made by the experienced actor Tom Selleck. And let me tell you, he's not holding back at all. He's diving deep into the intriguing story surrounding Whoopi's eyebrow-raising controversies. From astonishing statements that left us all stunned to high-profile conflicts that grabbed the front pages, Whoopi has undeniably been a frequent guest in the public eye. Now, let's talk about drama. Whoopi's been in the spotlight countless times, but it seems like her clashes with Jason Aldean's recent lawsuit against her show take the cake. Curious about what Tom Selleck actually spilled? And why is Whoopi reacting so strongly? Well, buckle up because the upcoming scoop is bound to astonish you. If you're wondering who Jason Aldean is, well, he's the guy behind the catchy song, Try That in a Small Town. Let me tell you, this song has caused quite a stir ever since its music video came out. Even though the song was released back in May, it didn't really explode until the video dropped a few weeks ago. Suddenly, it skyrocketed to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Now, let's dive into the video itself. It's quite the spectacle, featuring protests and clashes with the police. This stirred up a lot of controversy. Despite all the noise, the song didn't just fade away. Nope, it went above and beyond everyone's expectations and firmly secured its place on the charts. Oh, and get this, the music video has been viewed a whopping 22 million times. Now let's talk lyrics. Aldean sang some pretty strong words like "don't hold back," "go against the cops," even "spit in their faces," "step on the flag," and "light it up." He's saying that if you think you're tough, you should give it a shot in a small town and see how far you get. He's talking about standing up for your beliefs and where you come from. Oh boy, Jason got into some hot water because of his song. You see, the song had some parts that might come across as aggressive. And that's exactly why things got even hotter when Whoopi Goldberg shared her thoughts. She didn't hold back on her show, The View, when she talked about Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town. According to her, the parts of the music video that showed the protests from the Black Lives Matter movement didn't quite hit the right note. And let me tell you, what she said caused quite a stir.
And he's talking about people taking care of each other. And I find it so interesting that it never occurred to Jason or the writers that that's what these folks were doing.
In response, it's being said that Jason Aldean is taking some big steps. He's apparently filed a massive $40 million lawsuit against Whoopi Goldberg and the other hosts of The View. He claims they made it seem like he's a racist because of his new song. There's even an article with the headline, Jason Aldean files defamation lawsuit against Whoopi Goldberg on The View, that digs into the details. What's interesting is that ABC, the channel that airs The View, is backing up their hosts. They're saying that the hosts are protected by the First Amendment's free speech rights. But even with that, Jason Aldean doesn't seem to be backing down. His lawyer, Joe Barron, is suggesting that Whoopi should face the consequences of what she said. Remember how we said things are getting serious? Well, guess who's stepping into the ring? None other than Tom Selleck, a big Hollywood star known for his conservative views. He's throwing his support behind country sensation Jason Aldean and his hit song about small towns. And you won't believe where we got this scoop: the Dunning-Kruger Times. Selleck, the man famous for his roles and his strong opinions, didn't hesitate to speak up. He proudly said, "I grew up in a small town," and he thinks Jason's song hit the nail on the head. Now get this, even though his words might have ruffled a few feathers among his buddies, Selleck couldn't care less. He's sticking to his own set of values, and he's not backing down. But here comes the heartwarming part. Aldean, the country star himself, decided to show his appreciation in a special way. He reached out to Selleck with a meaningful gesture. He sent him a thumb drive signed by Aldean himself, containing the song and an unedited version of the music video. There was even a note attached to it saying, "To Tom Selleck, from one of your biggest fans, born Jeremy Logan Portobelli in West Gregston, Alabama in 1943. Now, let's rewind a bit and learn about Tom Selleck. He wasn't always Selleck, you know. He originally had a different name, but his first agent thought it was a bit too wild, so he switched it up. He graduated from a college called Our Lady of Sea Salt in Mobile, where he studied drama and literature. He started his journey with commercials, showing off Gillette razors and Aquanet, and he became famous for his role as Magnum PI and Monica's boyfriend. It's no big surprise that Selleck is supporting Aldean, especially given Whoopi's history of getting caught up in controversies. Whoopi, one of the co-hosts of The View, got herself into some real trouble during 2022. She made some really concerning comments about the Holocaust, which is a dark and tragic event in history where many Jewish lives were lost. These comments caused a major uproar, and she ended up being suspended from the ABC talk show for 2 weeks in February. Whoopi, who said before that she identifies as Jewish, faced a lot of criticism after she spoke on the January 31st, 2022 episode of The View. She suggested that the Holocaust, which was a terrible event that took the lives of more than 6 million Jewish people, wasn't really about race. She said it was more about how people treated other people badly. This caused a lot of concern, and Kim Godwin, the president of ABC News, took quick action. On February 1st, 2022, she announced that Whoopi Goldberg was suspended for 2 weeks because of her hurtful and incorrect comments, stating, "Effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities." Goldberg did say sorry back then, but in December 2022, she stuck to her viewpoint. She even mentioned something her friend told her about the census not having a box for the Jewish race, suggesting that maybe being Jewish isn't about race. These comments about the horrific events were just one example of how she stirred up trouble over the years. Let's take a trip back to July 2015, where things also got heated. She supported Bill Cosby when he was facing multiple accusations for hurting women, saying he was innocent until proven guilty. But later, Cosby ended up going to jail for his actions in 2018, though later on, his conviction was turned around after he served 3 years.
And I've had friends that have been accused of a lot of stuff. And one of the things that getting accused of a lot of stuff when you're famous does is it opens the door for everybody to come out and say, "And me too, boss, and me too." It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
And you know what's interesting? In January 2020, when people were talking about the Oscars not being diverse enough, they called it Oscar So White, Goldberg had a different take. She said that the awards weren't about race. She even pointed to her own Oscar win in 1991 as an example where she won Best Supporting Actress for her role in the movie Ghost. Goldberg also faced a lot of criticism for sharing her thoughts about a troubling incident back in 2014. There was a case involving Ray Rice, who was caught on video being really brutal to his wife, Jenny Palmer. And Goldberg, well, she didn't hold back. She said on The View, "Don't be surprised if you hit a man, he hits you back. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but you have to tell women not to believe that men still have this chivalry thing. Don't just assume it's still there." More recently, Goldberg made a surprising admission. She's saying she regrets ever getting married, even though she's been married 3 times before. She talked about this on The View, sharing her frustration about how boring and expensive her divorces were. She joked about how she felt like dancing and prancing each time her marriages ended. Goldberg's last marriage with Lyle Trachtenberg ended in 1995. She's been romantically linked to famous people like actors Timothy Dalton and Ted Danson. But when her co-star Joey Bear jokingly suggested that women should think about marrying younger men, Goldberg seemed pretty exasperated. So, it seems like Goldberg has a lot to say, and she's not afraid to say it, even if it gets her into hot water. But let's hear your thoughts on this. Do you agree with Tom Selleck's support for Aldean? Drop a comment below. And while we wait for more updates, don't miss our next video where we uncover even more surprising details.